you may feel like an imposter because you are one. We don't believe you're trying to be manipulative or deceptive. This happens on a very subconscious level.
I can't help but wonder if maybe not all of us are meant to be on the same path. There's differences in people, there's differences in skill sets, and I think everyone needs to show up differently in the world.
But we have to keep the main thing the main thing. Yeah. And when we spend 80% of our time curating an image, looking a certain way, putting content out, you're forgetting that your first job is building the company. It's your infrastructure, it's your team, it's what actually makes for a firm foundation so that you can grow and scale and serve more people. And if you don't do that, then it doesn't matter how viral you go online because your business won't be able to withstand the growth that comes.
Okay, if I tried to do what you do, I would be like a fish out of water, flailing and flopping around. I would feel like a fraud from the inside out. There would be no congruence, no alignment. I would feel like I don't know what I'm doing because I don't.
But what if this man is wanting to freaking be a streamer, but he's supposed to be the president of the United States one day?
Okay, I feel better now that I pulled my hair up. I think that's just going to have to be the case. I'm just going to sit like this so that you can see my bun. You know, when you like are straight facing and your hair's up, you're like...
I don't know how people do like slick back looks.
No.
I've tried it.
I don't think it works.
Why do I look like a mouse?
I don't think it works with a mouse.
Like a rat.
I don't think it works with our face structure because I can't do a slick back.
Yeah, I've tried. I'm just like, oof.
No.
That's
rough. Do I need a coaster? This is your desk, so I want to respect the desk.
You can have mine.
Okay, let's actually get into this discussion. I do feel like this topic came to mind because it's so talked about on the internet, at least, that people just feel like an imposter. The term imposter syndrome is just like, I don't know when I first heard that word, but it's been years that everyone's just like feeling like an imposter. And I'm curious why this has come up for you lately. Have you just been thinking about this more and more, or was there something that prompted this discussion for you?
Well, I think I work with a lot of clients privately, and I have a lot of conversations with specifically entrepreneurs, and it's a very regular conversation that we have where they just feel like an imposter or a fraud, or they'll use the term imposter syndrome, which is a phrase that I learned in the online space when I started building online. That's not something I learned just in my everyday life. Yeah. I do personally see that talked about so much more online, but like you said, over the last 5+ years, I feel like this has been a more and more common topic.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then every time we tackle any sort of subject, I'm going to go to the definitions, of course, because I want to actually know what we're talking about, because I was like, what is imposter syndrome? It's like, I've heard the term, but like, what's the definition? So I have 2 definitions I'm going to throw out up top because I want to differentiate between imposter and imposter syndrome. So when you're an imposter, you're someone that assumes a false identity or title for the purpose of deception. And I feel like, yes, in the world and stories and movies, you do have people who are imposters and they are purposefully trying to deceive people. But I feel like more and more people today feel like imposters. They're not trying to be deceptive. Like, they're not trying to be malicious, but that is the definition of imposter. And then imposter syndrome it has more to do with someone who has persistent doubt concerning their own abilities or their accomplishments. They have this fear that they're going to be exposed for basically being a fraud, like, even though there's evidence to support their success. So you've got these people who are high achieving or they're highly competent individuals. They know what they're doing, but they just can't seem to accept the fact that they have accomplished these things. Like, and I feel like with imposter syndrome, it has way more to do with just insecurities and your own doubts that you encounter. I do feel like a lot of people probably have, well, actually, I don't know that a lot of people deal with imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's a smaller group of people. I feel like more than anything, there's a lot more people who feel like an imposter who they don't struggle with imposter syndrome. They're just an imposter. They feel like an imposter because they kind of are one.
And that's the claim that we're making. And that's why we want to share these definitions so we can kind of state our case and you guys can stick with us in this. But our argument is you may feel like an imposter because you are one. And the caveat to this is we don't believe you're trying to be manipulative or deceptive. This happens on a very subconscious, internalized level. I don't think people are in our community specifically are running around trying to be fake. But there are a couple of reasons why this happens that we want to dive into today. And it might be that you actually are operating as more of an imposter versus actually struggling with imposter syndrome. And there is a difference. I think imposter syndrome has more to do with an identity issue.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas imposter, there's a little bit of misguidance that's happened. We're a little bit misguided and off the path, and we'll get into that here in a minute.
Yeah. And I just feel like that is a tough pill to swallow, to hear someone say, like, you may feel like an imposter because you are one. But we're speaking from our own experiences of how we've realized that or recognized this in ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have had these feelings before, wondering why I feel like an imposter or a fraud, and had the revelation that it's because I am one right now. The way I'm living my life, there's not congruence. There's some sort of disconnect and misalignment. And we don't say this to like come at anyone or judge anyone. It's just something that I really do feel like is important to confront within yourself. And if this is speaking to you in your heart, maybe this is something that needs to be confronted, and then you'll be set free from it and you won't have to wear a mask anymore. But
yeah,
exactly what you said. Like, I don't think anyone here is trying to be manipulative or deceptive, but I think we can all fall into a place where we put on a mask and put on a show.
That is what it comes down to. When you put on a mask, you put on a show, you're performing. All of those things are a little bit easier to swallow than the word imposter, but that's really what an imposter is. And we say this not to just agitate you and frustrate you, but to truly set you free. Because when you can see the truth, when the veil falls from before your eyes, you can see clearly. And maybe the better way to even say that is maybe you feel like an imposter right now because you're operating as one. Because I don't think your true identity is that you're an imposter. Of course, your true identity is the true you. That's who you naturally are. It's who you were born to be. But somewhere along the way, you've put on a mask for whatever reason, voluntarily, involuntarily, or with realization or not. And today we want you to walk away from this episode realizing that and being free from that. Finally owning who you are, finally owning your path. Because like Jordan and I said, we've both gone through seasons where we've been operating as more of an imposter. And I wouldn't have said that at the time. I would not have known that. I did not see that. But I was waking up every single day doing tasks that were not hard, that were not that crazy. Like I'm taking client meetings on Zoom. And all throughout my day, in the four walls of my home, while I'm running my business and talking to clients, I have just a ball of anxiety inside of me. I'm breaking out in hives. I can't speak clearly because I was operating as an imposter. I was trying to live someone else's life, follow someone else's path. And ultimately, when you do that long enough, you try to be someone else. That's how it starts. That's the slippery slope for some people. You see a narrative online, you try to pursue that narrative because it looks beautiful. And maybe it's for you, but maybe it's not for you. Maybe that's not what you're meant to pursue. Maybe that's not your calling. That's not the way you're meant to make money or build your business. That's not the life for you. The longer you try to pursue that, the more that you have to become a different person in order to get closer to that goal and that desire.
I feel like this might be kind of harsh, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know. But I feel like this is why on the internet, we see a lot of people in the same sort of fields doing the same sort of things, at least in recent years. And I think that there's a dismantling happening with that. I think that people are starting to branch out or realize that the path they were on really wasn't meant for them. But I think that's why so many people fell into these roles of trying to be like a coach or a mentor or what, I don't know, specific fields. That feels broad enough that I could say that. But I feel like there's so many people trying to be coaches and mentors who,
Influencers.
yeah, and who aren't developed enough. They don't maybe know enough, or they're genuinely not called to that. Like maybe they are called to something else, and they saw what was possible for someone else online. They saw the way other people were living, and they wanted that for themselves, so they tried to replicate it. And of course you're going to feel like a fraud if you're doing something that is genuinely out of your wheelhouse, and you're just trying to force it and make it work because you're like, I really want this, I want this path, I want this thing. But it's like, maybe that path isn't meant for you. Maybe that is not a skill set that is a strong suit for you, like a strength for you. Maybe you need to do something different. So yeah, I feel like that's how people get into this trap of just everyone's doing the same sort of things and getting off of their own path of what they really are supposed to be doing.
And you start to think, well, I just need to be more confident and I need to be more bold like her. I need to speak that way, look that way, move that way. But at the end of the day, it's not really about being more confident. You can project confidence and you can also feel confident in one moment, in one day, and then the next day you don't feel confident anymore. It's not really about being confident. There are women here listening to this that think they just need to be more confident. But I think it's a deeper issue.
Yeah.
I think we're talking about a deeper issue. You don't just need to be more confident. You don't need to project more boldness. You need to actually figure out, why do you feel this internal like misalignment? Does that mean that you are off of your path? Does that mean that you need to simply like put in more reps, time, and energy to develop? Only you'll know the answer to that. But it's a deeper issue than confidence.
Yeah. Well, one of the issues is that it's not confidence, it's maybe a competence issue, because you don't know enough in the field that you're in and you're underdeveloped, and maybe you're in more of a beginner phase. So you just don't know enough yet. And you can try to muster up all the confidence in the world, but you're moving through that beginner phase and you're growing in your competence. So no matter how much confidence or bravado you try to put out into the world, like there is this process we all have to go through of being a beginner and growing in our skills and developing. And maybe one of the problems could be you feel like an imposter because you're just not developed enough yet. And like, that's okay. But like, I feel like you could speak to this, because when you started your business, you had a certain level of skill set and competence that allowed you to just start doing the work that you were called to do. Like you already were strategic brained, and you brought something to the table that your clients needed, but you have also since grown so much in different skills, in that same skill, in complementary skills. So I feel like you can speak more to this, maybe.
Yeah, you have to be willing to be a beginner before you become advanced. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. Or they're willing to do it, but they want to pretend that they're further along than they are. So when you start pretending that you're further along when you're actually a beginner, you're going to not only feel like an imposter, you are operating as an imposter, because what you're projecting and what you're sharing isn't full truth. And if it's not full truth, that's a lie. The substance behind closed doors doesn't match what you're projecting online. So if you're a beginner, if you're in the beginning stages of your journey, of your career, of your profession, whatever, own it. Share it. There are people creating all sorts of series online right now about starting something new, starting a journey. And people love that because it's so relatable. It's like, oh, I think Josh told me about this guy that shared he wanted to have $1 million in his bank account. And he went through many different startups to make that happen. But he took his audience along the journey with him. And he really took off. His brand really took off. That was very interesting for people to see someone go from 0 to a million. That kind of stuff takes off because it just shows the humanity, the reality of building something. You start a beginner and you have to be willing to do that. And I think there's a lot of nuance to this conversation when it comes to building your business and making money, because of course you gotta build the thing and you've got to make money. You're likely supporting yourself and supporting your family. So how do we do that in integrity when you are a beginner? That's a tricky conversation.
Mm.
And I think that's where you have to figure out, what are you developed enough in order to get paid properly for now? And then what areas can you continue to grow in and then later get paid for them? So for me, when I started my journey in 2017, I didn't start with anything paid. I started with a blog, because all I knew was I'm a pretty good writer. I didn't even fully understand the depth of my knowledge in business and infrastructure and scaling. I didn't understand my gifting, my natural gifting in that area until later. So I started with something I knew I was good at. I'm pretty good at writing. I'm not the best writer, but I liked it writing and I'm pretty good at it. So I started with a blog, and then later I was like, I'm going to need to make some money. So that turned into a magazine, and that business eventually shut down. I started The Awakening in 2019, and I started it with a very low pressure offer. It was a membership that was $9.97 a month. So I'm not coming out the gate trying to charge someone a $10,000 container when I'm still developing my skill set. And the Awakening membership didn't even start off as a business membership. It started off more mindset related,
Yeah.
women that were wanting to grow in their confidence, women that did struggle with self-doubt. And it was really more of a place where I empowered and I poured into women entrepreneurs. And eventually, naturally, the people in there were like, can you speak to this? I have a question about this in my business. You're really good at this. Can we talk about this? And so it naturally snowballed. And from that membership, a year later, I ended up filling my first round of private coaching clients, which, by the way, were priced at a beta rate, disclosed as a beta container. This is in testing. You're my first private clients. So they got a massive deal for the support that they were getting. And they also knew what they were saying yes to. So that created this very beautiful foundation for me to continue to grow my skill set and also do that in alignment without feeling like I was pretending and performing and having to prove to people that I'm amazing and I know all things. And even to this day, I will tell you, don't put me on a pedestal. I don't know all things and I'm not the end all be all. And at the end of the day, I can advise you all that I want to, but you have to use your discernment as well. But I think to summarize that, for me, I had to be willing to do things that, number one, I wasn't sure I'd be good at. Number two, I wasn't sure if they would pay off. I just threw myself in. And then in addition to that, I was very honest with myself and with the people in my community as to where I was at. And that's where beta containers are really great. They're for the purpose of testing. But then at that point, at least you are fully disclosing to people what is happening, what they're saying yes to, and you're not building your career off of pretending, because that will catch up to you.
That's really beautiful, because it's not like you were trying to pretend or manipulate anyone. You were being very honest about you're getting beta pricing. You're honest, just kind of more honest and open about where you were at in your level of expertise. And I feel like a lot of us want to skip that because we want to make the big bucks. We don't want to do beta pricing. We don't want to do, the beginning stages, because you're like, I see all these people making all this money online. I want to jump straight into the deep end with them. And instead of humbling yourself and being honest about, I am experienced to some degree, but I am not as far along as, so-and-so over here, or I have different skill sets from so-and-so over here. So yeah, I'm curious, in the earlier days of once you started The Awakening, did you ever have those thoughts of I feel like an imposter?
I never felt like, to my knowledge, I don't remember thinking I feel like an imposter. I feel fake. I certainly had self-doubt. I
Mhm.
certainly wanted to be further along than I was. I certainly wanted to grow in my confidence and in my skill sets, and I wanted to grow my business, but I wouldn't say that I ever felt like a fake.
Mm. Yeah.
That wasn't my story, but it doesn't mean that that's right or wrong. That just wasn't my story.
Hmm.
But I think the other thing about my journey, especially in the early stages, is everything was just so light and experimental.
Yeah.
And I can really pay tribute to that to Josh, because Josh was ingraining in me. He's like, you got to stop thinking that this is going to be the last thing you ever create.
Mm.
You need to create an MVP, minimum viable product, do it fast, launch it, make it as great as you can, but like create the first one and launch it. And then you start to iterate. He ingrained that into me. He was probably reading books on that at the time because we built our businesses separately, but alongside each other. Like we watched each other build our businesses. And, that belief is what led to me launching the Awakening membership originally. Before that, I was in, the magazine land, and I was trying to make everything perfect. And I kept thinking about different offers and courses and things, and just spending all of this time behind the scenes trying to make something perfect and polished. And that's a trap so many of us fall into, because you got to eventually just like do the thing and share the thing. But I kept it light, I kept it experimental. And I think that's the problem with so many people today. We feel like it has to be perfect and polished. And, this is going to be underneath our name, and it has to be a certain way. And I think that you should always create with excellence and strive for excellence as much as possible. But sometimes you just got to throw something out there and let it be the first version. Let it be that you're a beginner, because you don't get confident like in an instant. You get confident through taking action. You also get more competent through taking action as well. It's like the time and the reps and the energy and like working on yourself and working on your skill set. You have to be willing to do that. And I feel like very few talk about that. Everybody's talking about how can I get seen and get as many eyes on me and go viral? And everybody's doing these challenges to pump out a ton of content. And I'm not saying that it's a necessarily a bad thing, but I do think that we should be so much more committed to the substance of our work first than we are to being seen. Because if your work has substance and it's excellent, then when you're seen, when people come, the growth becomes this natural snowball effect. But too many people are focused on being seen, taking off online, when in reality, we should be focusing on developing our craft and developing our products and our services.
Absolutely. I feel like the thing, maybe it's because of social media. It's just, let's blame everything on social media. But I think that's part of the problem, because this is prevalent in our culture. Our culture, we've got the internet, we've got social media. So it's like, this is always going to come up. But I do feel like people are more concerned about image than they are about the substance of their work, or working behind the scenes to become more competent in their field and to grow and develop. Something that you said a few minutes ago, though, that really stood out to me was just the idea of, in the beginning stages, it was very light and experimental, is what you said. And I just love that. And I feel like that is something that all entrepreneurs and anyone listening to this, you've got to keep that in every phase of life. Like, it's not, I don't think that was just something in the beginning of creating your MVP. I think it was like, as an entrepreneur, you're always going to be experimenting with new things and new products. And if you're so married to like, I need this thing to work, then bro, like that's not going to be good for you, because some things just don't work. Some strategies aren't working right. You've got to change. You've got to be adaptable as an entrepreneur, as a human being, but especially as an entrepreneur, an artist, creative, whoever you are, you've got to be adaptable to the culture and the products that you're putting out and what the market needs, like the needs of people. You've got to adapt and change, or you're just going to be left behind. So you've got to keep that lightness and experimental heart and mindset in every every season that you're in.
Yeah, I'm definitely on that journey right now, coming back to that in a new way in this season where I'm not necessarily a beginner at a lot of things that I do, but I do feel like I'm in a new season, like we talked about in our last episode. And with that, I am trying to strip back a lot of my rigidity and rules and routines and try to experiment and try new things. And that comes with a lot of questioning and doubt. And will this work? And what if it doesn't? And so what? It's so what? Just try something new. You have to always be adapting and iterating, and things are always changing in business. And if you're not cool with that reality, then you just shouldn't be in business. And that's a harsh conversation I have to have with myself on a very regular basis. It's like you signed up for this. Like when you run a business, I mean, when you have a traditional career, change is always happening. That's true. But as an entrepreneur, you're having to pave the way, and you're having to ride those waves, and you're having to figure it out yourself with no direction. You're directing. You're the director. Okay? And that's a lot of pressure. So you have to be ready for that and willing to do that. But I do want to add, I just feel like so many people are spending their lives and their careers curating images right now instead of actually building companies, specifically in the entrepreneurial space, because everyone is so focused on taking off online and we're so focused on our marketing. We're really just curating images, we're managing people's perceptions, and we're not actually working on the substance of our work. And that's something that really started to convict me. And even now I'm trying to find the balance between how do I love what I do and want to share that and like bring value to people. And I don't think there's anything wrong with growing online. Truthfully, we're working to grow our platforms right now, our channels online. So there's nothing wrong with that. But we have to keep the main thing the main thing.
Yeah.
And when we spend 80% of our time curating an image, looking a certain way, putting content out, you're forgetting that your first job is building the company. It's actually first and foremost what you're selling. And then it's so many other pieces. It's your infrastructure, it's your team, it's what actually makes for a firm foundation so that you can grow and scale and serve more people. And if you don't do that, then it doesn't matter how viral you go online because your business won't be able to withstand the growth that comes. So I'm not saying I have a perfect answer for that right now, but I do think that it's just a reminder to focus more on your actual work and the substance, because that ties directly into this conversation in that you will feel so much, I don't even know if confidence is the word, but alignment, congruence between what it is that you're creating and what it is that you're sharing and promoting, because you're not having to prove anything or over exaggerate or choose certain angles and spins to look a certain way. You're just sharing the truth of what you've created, the value.
Yes. Yeah. When you are doing the work behind the scenes and actually focusing on the substance of what you're doing and growing in your skills, you're growing your competence and you're deepening that sense of congruence in yourself because the competence is growing and you actually do know more of what, you're learning more about your skills, you're developing, you're strengthening, you're growing, developing all the things. And when you do that, you're going to feel more congruence from the inside out and it's going to spill out and you're going to feel so aligned and you won't have to pretend or fake it because it's just you're developed and you're more and more developed as you keep going, So you grow in your competence and your congruence deepens within yourself. And I think confidence is just like, confidence to me, I feel like sometimes that just comes and goes. I don't think that that's as steady, but I think if you feel that congruence within yourself, that is something that can be steady. That's something you can rely on. Confidence is kind of fleeting. Yeah. I think another reason that people can feel like an imposter is because you are so distracted by what you see online, by what other people are doing, that you are not on your path at all. It's like I was saying before, people that all the coaches of the world, I love you guys. Like, I'm not trying to come for anyone. I'm like, if you're a coach or a mentor, great. But I just think that's an example of what I've seen from an outside perspective where this everyone's a coach because everyone's on the same sort of path. And I can't help but wonder if maybe not all of us are meant to be on the same path. I think there's differences in people, there's differences in skill sets, and I think everyone needs to show up differently in the world in their own unique way. And I think I've had my own personal struggles with this feeling of feeling like an imposter because I am so distracted and I'm so not on my path and I'm so trying to be someone that I'm not. And yeah, I've definitely had some of my own experiences with that where not that I'm consciously doing it, it's just the subconscious process of like, I look up to certain people online and I like the skill sets that they have. And I think somehow that's better. That's a better path. It's proven. They seem successful. They have money. They have all these things that I kind of want. And then I just end up wanting to replicate what they've done. And it's not a conscious decision that I make. It's sort of this subconscious process that happens. And then I catch myself and I'm like, girl, you are distracted. You're trying to replicate someone else's path. And of course you're going to feel off in your spirit about that because you kind of are operating like an imposter. You're trying to be someone that you're not, or do something that maybe you're not skilled to do or you're not called to do. Like, okay, if I tried to do what you do and the work that you do with clients and speak to all the strategy and the such and such, I would be like a fish out of water, flailing and flopping around. I wouldn't know I would feel like a fraud from the inside out. There would be no congruence, no alignment. I would feel like I don't know what I'm doing because I don't, because I'm on someone else's path. I'm trying to do something that is an innate skill to you that you've also developed. So you've grown in your competence and you've grown in your skills. But I would be like, I would be like, I don't know what I'm doing. And I really wouldn't know what I was doing, you know?
I think many people fall into this category. And I would argue at one point in time, everyone has probably fallen into this category, especially in today's day and age, because consumption without discernment leads to a lot of distraction. And you're going down different rabbit holes, trying different things that aren't actually meant for you. When you were talking, I had this vivid memory just flashed before my eyes that I'd forgotten about. In between having my magazine and launching The Awakening, I was trying to be some sort of like mindset coach or something, which was crazy. That was a crazy journey. I remember vividly, I created this course, and I feel like either the course or a workbook that went with it was called Self-Doubt Blackout.
Okay, that's kind of a fire name, but I don't remember that.
No one used that name because we might use it.
Self-doubt blackout is incredible.
Self-doubt blackout. And at that time, I was largely following a lot of other coaches that were more in the mindset realm. So that is where I tried to start my coaching journey. And that very quickly didn't pan out. And it's interesting because now I obviously know, of course, I still speak to mindset stuff, but I am so much more of a strategy focused and forward person. That comes so easily to me. And the mindset stuff is important, and I talk about that, but I would never categorize myself as a mindset coach. And it's funny how you can even limit your own self, your own skill sets and giftings. You put a cap on it when you're so focused on contorting yourself, molding and shaping yourself to fit into someone else's box.
That is so good. I'm just smiling. I'm like, dang. No, that is so good. You put a ceiling and a cap on yourself. Girl, I just gotta pause and like snap to that because that's so true. That's so true.
Yeah, if you're putting all of your energy and focus on being and creating this image that someone else is, then you can't allocate that energy towards actually developing your own skill set and actually following your own path and pursuit. So there's not enough energy for you to actualize all the things that you're meant to do. So distraction is one of the biggest ones. I mean,
Yeah. Well, it's like everyone wants, sorry, I'm like calling people out. I'm like, everyone wants to be a content creator for a living. Everyone wants to be an
I'm
influencer.
sorry,
And
but
I'm
I
like,
can't relate. Y'all need to calm down.
I know. I mean, I'm sorry, who would want to do that? Actually, I love the things that we create, but it's a lot of hard work and effort. And whew, I'm just like, well, everything's
Everybody,
hard work and effort. Not like we don't put hard work and effort in, but content creation is just like, why would you want to do that for a living?
well, everybody wants to be a content creator or an influencer right now.
Yeah.
And we're going to look back one day and remember this era of time and see where everybody shook out.
Mhm.
But no.
Yeah, well, it's not like, yeah, we're not all called to the same thing. It's like something our dad said at some point. He read some statistic that like, and this was a couple years ago, but I think it would still be true today, that a lot of young men, their desired job is to be a streamer, like a gaming streamer, because it has been so popular for years. There's some streamers out there that make a really good amount of money doing what they do, and it creates more opportunities for them to do other things and brand deals and such. But it's also just like, sorry, I'm just like I feel like I'm just crapping on everyone. I'm not trying to, but it's also to me it seems like an easy like cop out of like, I just don't want to do other hard work, so I just want to sit around and stream.
Well, and
or
you think that also these things are going to be easier?
yes,
But what if this man is wanting to freaking be a streamer, but he's supposed to be the president of the United States one day? What if?
no, literally.
What if that's
Literally.
his path? And all he's doing is he's freaking,
He's
gaming.
setting up his stream, and I know this is what I'm saying. Like, I'm not trying to crap on anyone, because I do know those sort of people who do it all the time put in a lot of effort and a lot of work to what they do. So I'm not, but on the outside looking in, it seems like it'll be so easy. I can just game and have fun and just like stream myself gaming or whatever. But really, it's a lot of hard work. A lot, like I know streamers put in a lot of work, content creators put in a lot of work, and like you said before, when you're chasing the wrong thing, you put a cap on what you can do or what you're actually called and meant to do. That is just like, that's so dangerous too. Or not, I don't know, dangerous is intense, but I'm like, it feels dangerous to me, because I'm like, every single person is supposed to bring something unique and special into the earth. And you are messing with that when you are on someone else's path trying to do something else, and you're not going to feel fulfilled doing that. I just feel like we collectively as a society, we need to get focused on what is being required of us in this season, but also get focused on what we are meant to bring into the earth. Uniquely us, like uniquely as an individual, what are you actually meant to do?
Yeah, we need to get better at using discernment, especially since we live in a world where it's inevitable you're going to consume content, like whether that's on social media or that's through TV, whatever. You're going to see content, and whatever you're consuming, whether you like it or not, is influencing you.
It affects you.
Yes.
It could change the course of your life if you let it. If you follow certain people and you think, I want to do that sort of thing, or I want to go down that path. I mean, I was thinking about this recently, that you are what you consume. You are what you eat. Like, you are the media that you consume. And if you keep consuming that, you're just going to keep going down that path.
It really is true that what you're consuming is dictating the direction of your life. And so we have to be honest about how much are we consuming? What are we consuming? What's the narrative that we're taking in every single day? And it may not even look like a bad thing. It might not be that you're watching the news that's like doomsday every day, all day. I think we all could acknowledge that that can have a negative impact on your mental health. It could be that you're just following coaches, right? And maybe you're not meant to be a coach. Or it could be that you're following influencers, and maybe that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And you don't figure out your path by watching other people on theirs. You figure out your path.
That just snaps. That woke me up. That sincerely woke me up.
Oh my gosh, I'm literally on the verge of crying this whole episode. This is so funny. But you figure out your path by walking your own and by being in it, by being present in it, by being discerning. And we have to get more serious about that, about actually thinking for ourselves, actually considering what is for me. And man, there's so many layers to this conversation, but I'm going to leave it at that. Most people that feel like an imposter are either distracted or underdeveloped. And it's not an intentional thing. We're not trying to be fake, but we want to bring this conversation to light because we don't want you to be an imposter. We don't want you to feel like an imposter. We want you to be you. We want you to be on your path, because whether you feel like it or not, you have something to contribute to this planet. Whether you are building a multi-billion-dollar corporation or you are at home with your kids, pouring into them and homeschooling, everyone has their mark that they're meant to make. Everyone has their path, and we want you to be on that path. So
absolutely. Amen. But that's it. That's the end.
that can't be the end.
No, seriously, because like that's it. I mean, when you let go of the mask and you stop being an imposter and you have enough competence and you feel congruent from the inside out, you get to just shine as fully you in your strengths and your gifting. You get to live out your calling and your destiny. And that's the whole point of this discussion. We don't want to call anyone out to be like, you're an imposter and, you know, like pointing fingers. Because like we've said, we've been in positions where we've kind of had those experiences and we've been distracted and we've been in places where we've also been underdeveloped. But I just want everyone to be able to take the mask off and not have to pretend to be anyone else or not have to feel like they have to fake it all the time to be like someone else. Just be fully you and shine as you.
Yeah. Be fully you, own where you're at, and you will get to where you're meant to be. And I promise it will feel so much better than whatever plan you have in your mind or whatever thing that you're trying to replicate in your mind. What's meant for you is far greater than you could ever imagine, and the world needs for you to pursue that. So thank you for listening to this episode, for clicking. And if you made it to the end, man, you get like bonus points.
You get a gold star.
You get a gold star. Legacy Creator Gold Star. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.
Don't be a gamer. You might be a president someday.
I was like low-key smirking for that example for literal minutes. I was like, I can't believe I just said that a gamer was going to be the president.
Hey, man, you never know.
You never know, but just like the intensity of that example was literally crazy. We were on some type of freaking energy during that episode.
There's some spikes of laughter on that.
We only have had espresso. We're not on drugs.
The only drug I'm on is life.
Oh my god. Can we also just, for the record, say that I thought that whatever that song was, what's the song you were singing?
Every night, oh, the sweet espresso. That song.
Yeah, I asked if that was Britney Spears.
And I was like, I literally burst out laughing. I was like, I couldn't help but laugh. Ashton is so love you. You were so out of touch with pop culture.
I am uncultured swine.
But it's like a great thing. It's a great trait. I wish I was that out of touch with pop culture.
I'm so out of touch.
She's just like, no, it's not even that you're old. You're just like very selective about, you get on Instagram to like work and maybe look at some stuff, but you are just not like plugged into the culture. You're not plugged into the device all the time, which is admirable.
Yeah, I guess.
That's like, I wish that's what I'm saying. I wish that I wasn't. I wish that I didn't know the song Espresso, you know, just because I wasn't on my phone enough. But
actually, we're not sorry, everyone. You can have your own opinion. We don't like it. We don't like it. All right, we gotta be done with this. Dude.